Does the thought of all the paperwork you need to go through in order to list your home overwhelm you and make you afraid that you'll miss something important? I'm here to break down the basic listing forms for here in Nova Scotia so you will be comfortable with what you are signing and know what questions to ask when you sit down with your agent to list. Howdy, I'm Dawn Magee, and I've been connecting home buyers and sellers as a licensed realtor here in beautiful Nova Scotia since 2004. I'm going to break down a Seller's Designated Brokerage Agreement and point out a few items that you should pay particular attention to, which can affect your bottom line once you do receive an offer. Stay tuned to the end where I will let you in on the #1 mistake sellers make when putting their homes on the market. A seller's agreement or listing agreement defines who, what, where, why, and the when of selling a property here in Nova Scotia. The first part of the Seller's Designated Brokerage Agreement is the section where it shows who the agreement is between. So this would be the property owners or representatives' names, address, along with the brokerage names and addresses. It also has to be noted where the property is located, along with the corresponding parcel identification number as noted on the land registry, and of course the listing price of the property. I will break this agreement down as per sections on the forms. I will touch on the main points, but keep in mind I will not be reviewing every point, which your realtor should be doing before you sign with them. Section 1 is to name a designated agent or listing agent of the brokerage who is going to be representing the seller during this transaction. Section 2 outlines the brokerage obligations to the seller and that they are to maintain compliance with the Nova Scotia Real Estate Trading Act and the bylaws of the Nova Scotia Real Estate Commission. The brokerage is to account for funds placed in their trust, and the brokerage cannot use the seller's confidential information for any other gain than is what is stipulated in the agreement. Section 3 defines the number of obligations that the designated agents have to the seller, including fiduciary obligation of loyalty, confidentiality, and full disclosure of any conflicts of interest, and to use their best efforts to market the property and promote the interests of the seller. 3.2 of this section is where the optional services are agreed to with your agent, including posting sale signs, promoting on electronic medium. There is also space to add services that your agent agreed to provide, such as a 3D tour or specific marketing. Section 4 states that the beginning date and the end date of the agreement. If you have found this video valuable, please be sure to check out my next video in my sellers playlist where I go into details as to the greatest exposure to have for your listing, which will get you the greatest number of buyers, which will get you the greatest price for your property. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel to get notification of any new vlogs I make about Nova Scotia real estate. Section 5 notes the type of listing it is to be. Two options are either multiple MLS, multiple listing service, where the public can view the listing information, or exclusive, where an agreement is signed to list, but the distribution of the listing information is controlled by the listing agent. Section 6 outlines the seller's obligations and declarations they are making in order to list. Items such as that they have the authority to sell and that they'll provide the information needed to sell. Also, all the information they provide is to the best of their knowledge. This section also defines that what they are to do if they receive inquiries directly, and that they are obligated also to disclose any material latent defects. Section 5 defines whether or not harmonized sales tax is applicable on the purchase price. This is the seller's responsibility to verify. Section 8 defines what should happen if there are competing offers on the property, whether the sellers wants the buyers of those offers to be notified that they're in competition or not. Most often a seller would want the buyers to know they're in competition, as the buyers would then make their best offer. But by checking yes to this offer, the seller does run the risk of a buyer withdrawing their offer because they do not want to get in a bidding war. Section 9 defines the brokerage remuneration or payment for selling the property. This can be a percentage of the sale price or a flat rate. There is HST applicable because it is a service. 9.2 of this section further defines how much of the above fee will be offered to other agents as an enticement to bring their buyers to view the property. It can affect whether a buyer's agent encourages their buyer to view that property. Payment of the commission is only upon a successful closing and states that the remuneration can be deducted by the lawyer from the proceeds of the sale, less the deposit that was already received by the brokerage. 9.7 of this section states that the brokerage cannot benefit from the listing in any other way than what is agreed to in the listing agreement, such as reward programs from mortgage brokers. Section 10 explains the use and distribution of the seller's information and basically spells out that the seller's information can only be used for the purpose for which it was given. It is allowed to be shared with others as long as it's still for the goal of getting the property sold. There is a caveat that allows the final sale price to be posted so it can be used by appraisers and other agents to determine market value of other properties in the future. Section 11 has to do with the change of representative capacity. This section details the scenario of what happens when a buyer requests information on the property, to view the property, or even to put an offer in on the property through the listing brokerage. For the buyer and the seller to be represented by the same brokerage, they both have to be in agreement and sign a transaction brokerage form, which would have the brokerage treat both parties equally. Other scenarios would be that the brokerage would have gotten the buyer to consent to be treated as a customer, or the buyer can seek their own agent from a different brokerage. Section 12 outlines what constitutes the termination of agreement, such as upon successful sale, mutually agreed, or if the brokerage is unable to contact you to schedule viewings. Section 13, once the agreement has been terminated, the brokerage must cease all marketing, return any documents, and remove any signage. Beyond that, Section 14 states that the brokerage must maintain your confidentiality and account for any monies held in their trust. Section 15 clarifies some miscellaneous provisions, such as the seller agrees to be governed by the courts of the province of Nova Scotia for any resolution, and no amendment to this agreement shall be in effect unless signed by all parties. Section 16 is a part of the agreement that shows what additional forms may be included in this agreement, such as the listing addendum, which is the information that gets uploaded to MLS, and possibly a property disclosure statement. Section 17 is blank space where the agent can add any other provisions that you may have agreed to. Lastly, there is space for all parties to sign. The listing agreement must be signed and dated by the sellers who are listed on the property deed and or whoever the signing authority is, such as executor or power of attorney to the seller. Your agent should also give you a copy of your signed agreement. Since you made it to the end of this video, I will now let you know the biggest mistake sellers make when listing their home. A mistake that can see them leaving money on the table and even can get them sued. The mistake is not fully understanding the contractual real estate paperwork. Realtors deal with listing and purchase and sale contracts on a daily basis, but not all realtors will take the time to make sure you know exactly what you are signing. Every question or concern you have may be raised with your realtor before you sign. A realtor is ethically bound to do their due diligence to make sure you understand what you are signing. If you have any questions, please feel free to DM me or post in the comments below. I'm Dawn Magee, and I love talking real estate.